Hey, Mr. Garage here. And it's like 70 degrees out. It's like 6:30 in the morning. I know what better to do, right? 6:30 in the morning on a Sunday than check your valve clearance and set your valve clearance on your Predator generator. That's what I'm going to be doing today because I don't want to wait till this afternoon when it's about 100 plus here in Arizona. So yeah, let's get on this. All right, so you can see I've already dug into this because in a previous video I've already shown how to take this apart. This isn't rocket science. This whole side cover is just held on by two screws here and here, two Phillips screws. And I removed my spark plug. It's a 13/16. Just remove it, just like I showed you guys in another video. Not a big deal. We got our spark plug out. Now we have access to our valve cover. Now there is no easy way to get to the crankshaft of this to manually turn it over or do any type of thing like that to get the motor to top dead center for your timing. So we're going to do this a little bit kind of the chintzy way, but hey, it actually works just fine. So what I take is a very long screwdriver, and I put it right down the spark plug hole, and you can see I'm actually touching my piston right now because it's kind of high, but you'll be able to see the piston by putting that screwdriver in there. As I pull the pull start, it's going to go all the way down and then back up. All right, so what we want to do is we need to get this motor on a compression stroke, which means it's blowing air out of the hole. And so I'm going to see where that is. That's coming out. So we're going to get this as close to the piston being all the way up as we possibly can get. We're just going to pull our rope really gentle. And that is it. We are at TDC right now. Now we're going to take an 8mm. I'm going to take this valve cover gasket, or this valve cover off, and gasket. All right, so glad I got more gaskets because this one tore. So I'll be taking it off, but I got low enough hours or low enough heat that we're in good shape. So yeah, this is our valve system. We have our two little tappets here. So what we're going to be using to adjust our valve clearance, I've got a 9mm to actually adjust our little tappet here. And then I can't find my tappet wrench, so we're going to use some needle nose pliers, and we're just going to grab onto this. This is your adjuster, this little square-headed job. And yeah, let's get on that here in just a second, and I'll be right back. All right, so we are going to be setting our intake valve lash, valve clearance to 0.005, if you guys can see that on here, or 0.13 millimeters. If the camera's focusing on that. The exhaust we're going to set to 0.007, which is 0.18 millimeters. And the recommendation per Predator for this particular motor, you can see it here. We've got valve clearance, intake 0.004 to 0.006, and then exhaust 0.006 to 0.008. I always go right in the middle on these. So before I jump back on camera, because I'm just checking everything out, seeing how things are, I was able to verify already that my intake valve, I actually expected the exhaust valve to be tighter. My intake valve is definitely a little bit tight. So my 0.005 won't go in there, and maybe a 4 would, but it's just a little bit tight. But my exhaust valve is actually sitting also a little bit tight, but not bad. I can get my feeler gauge in there. That's sitting about 0.005, so it's also a little tight. There's a few hundred hours on this motor. So this is the perfect time to adjust this. Now the manual recommends every 300 hours or 12 months. I have no idea what time has to do with the valve clearance job, but whatever. So let's get on this. So we're going to take our 9mm. We're simply going to loosen our little tappet retainer nut. And now the little top square head, we're going to take our 0.005. This is our intake side. This is our exhaust side. We are going to see if we can loosen this. Now so we can get our feeler gauge, there we go, right in there. And then what I do is I kind of just tighten this little square-headed tappet until it's just a little bit hard to slide the feeler gauge. You just feel a tiny bit of resistance. Okay, so that seems good to me. I can get my feeler gauge in there. I'm going to then, if you guys can see all this, I'm going to hold this square-headed piece with my needle nose. Put the wrench on first, dummy. All right, we're going to put that on if you can see it. And we are going to tighten back down our nut. And then we're going to double check. Can we still get our 0.005 in there? We can. Just a little bit of resistance. Sorry if the camera angles suck. I'll have to do better next time. But anyways, yeah, so we're good there. Now we're going to go to our exhaust side, which always runs a little bit looser clearance-wise, the 0.007. Right now, I can't get, well, I can, but that's really tight. That's really hard to get it in there. 0.07. So we're going to open this guy up. I'm going to back this off a little bit. And it's always better on engines, especially, I mean, you're not racing your generator, so go a little bit loose on your valve clearances. Some people go tight on performance motors and stuff, trying to get every last bit of exhaust and air out of their motor. Don't do that on something like this. So there's no need for it. Go a little bit in between, like I said, between your maximum and your mid spec. And then that way, as the valves basically go in and out, they slowly hammer themselves outwards and the gap gets tighter and tighter and tighter. If you go a little bit loose, you got a longer time period before you really need adjustment again. So it's just the right way to do it. So let's put our wrench back on. Valve springs are so light. Just dropped the push rod. Now what you may not know is your Predator generator is a push rod single cylinder hemi. That's right, your Predator actually has a hemi in it. This is a hemi design GX clone. You can tell by the more square valve cover gasket shape. So yeah, you got a hemi in this guy. All right, now that we've got that set, we're just going to check our clearance, make sure we can still get, there we go. Still get that in there. That's it. You've done your valve clearance. That's as hard as it is. So we're going to put our spark plug back in. I've got some new gaskets. If you guys are looking for gaskets, I bought these from a place called Dover Power Sport. Whole bunch of gaskets. Just look them up for the 212cc Predator Hemi motor, and they need to be the square-shaped gasket. And that's what you're looking for a valve cover gasket on these. They're easy to find. I'll link you in the video description. And our job is done for the day. I mean, that's not rocket science. It's a pretty simple task. Again, just make sure your motor's at TDC, top dead center on a compression stroke. Again, top dead center is where your screwdriver comes all the way out, and compression stroke is where air is actually blowing out of the spark plug hole. So you stick your finger in there, and you'll kind of feel your finger, the air pushing on your finger, and that means you're on a compression stroke. So cool, that's it. We're done for the day. I'm going to put this thing away. And I hope this helps some of you guys, but it is something that needs to be done. I've seen this a few times on the Facebook Predator generator forum, where their generator won't start or it runs really lousy, and they've got a ton of hours on their gen. Some of these guys are pushing thousands of hours, just like a Honda on their generator, and they've never done valve clearance ever. So yeah, that's something you want to do. Anyways, do it, and your gen will run a lot better if it's time to have the valve clearance checked. So, all right, guys, subscribe if you like my random videos, and I will catch you on the next one. Coming back for one quick second, we didn't do the startup video. You always start your engine, make sure everything is running nice and smooth before you put it away and get on the camping trip and realize you did something wrong. So I feel like I'm starting a Batmobile when I start this thing. So we got turbines to speed. Actually, no, we're just going to start. We have our ESC off, and we're just going to bump our starter, and let's see what happens. Nice. We're gonna go to run. Our voltage is up, running really nice and smooth. And we're gonna turn our ESC on. Just gonna idle it down. Burn like a kitten. And this thing runs good. Alright guys, truly, catch you later.